Hello, fellow Mythrunians. Welcome to another weekly live stream. Starting a couple minutes late. I'm just running late. I don't know why. I didn't even realize the time had changed. Yep, we'll be working on containers tonight. That's all I got to say about that. Got like a song running through my head that's not this one. All right, there's the heroes and the superheroes. They're my patrons. They help me keep the lights on, which is even more important now that I have the Hetzner server up, which has been running pretty well. I think we're all pretty happy with how that's working, and I can like monitor people. And this week I set up a thing where if you're on the Discord, there's now this server activity channel, which every time someone joins or leaves the server, it posts here. But that also leaves me open for posting other cool things, like if we have events like the Halloween thing in the future and somebody like goes and visits all the houses, we could like announce that here and too. And I may add that because like the houses are still there and people are still building stuff, so it's kind of cool. Today we're going to be trying to resurrect the container code that we were working on apparently a little over a year ago. So I guess last live stream we worked on it was in October of 2024. So I imagine that this was one of those features that got sidetracked by the Halloween festivities last year, and when I started getting the mods ready for that and stuff. So similar to like the AI stuff this year. So I want to get this in. I figured it'd be nice if containers and stuff were working by Christmas, and then I can get back. This shouldn't take long. I think this is a lot more ready than I thought it was. I think we have like some final hookup, but I went through all my notes, which is like one of the cool things about having written all of this out like before I did the work and during the work, is that I kept track of what I was doing while I was doing it, and that means I read this earlier today and could like re-catch up to all the things I had already thought about, and some things we've already improved that no longer matter. So that was kind of nice too, to see like, oh yeah, we're going to need to add this to the open source libraries, and I've already done that in the list last year, so that was kind of nice. And then I was trying to like reduce we had like a prototype script we were using, and so I was trying to reduce that down to just the useful parts in my notes here. But let's go and talk about what we had working. That was in this. Oh yeah, so we got some comments here. I was watching the top dog and I thought you saw your 3D bag. Well, that'd be quite a trick because I made this bag using Mythruna. So that would have been funny. We're coding together tonight. Nice. Is that a nonogram game? I'm stuck at 90% for months. Where do you get the motivation? Well, that's a good question because for one thing, a weekly live stream kind of gives me motivation because I have to think about what I'm going to do for the live stream and sometimes prepare for that. But for years, motivation working on Mythruna was a big problem because life was just getting in the way. Now Mythruna is to the point where sometimes I feel like playing a game, and I'm just like, well, I actually had that kind of tricky problem I was working on in Mythruna, or I'll just play Mythruna for a couple minutes to make a thing or something, and I'll be like, oh, I should really work on this thing. And so Mythruna's kind of gotten to the point where it's reached critical mass, and there's enough stuff there that I feel like there's always something interesting for me to work on. And even if there's something that I should be working on, but I'm more interested in this other thing, sometimes that's enough to get me motivated. I'll just work on the other thing because I think it's more important to work on stuff than to work on what I'm supposed to be working on sometimes. Like if I have the motivation to work on what I'm supposed to be working on, then I'll work on that. But if it's like, I want to make a cool stone texture because I want to make statues, I'll work on that for a weekend because that's cool too. And at least I'm working, and sometimes that lets me see some other problems with the game. But motivation's a very personal thing, really. But the key is to start. So if you can just start for 5 minutes, sometimes that'll turn into 2 hours. So I'm going to just look at this for 5 minutes. That's my trick. Just for 5 minutes. I'm just going to practice scales on the piano for 5 minutes. And then, an hour later, and I've played some songs and come up with some ideas. Anyway, yeah, because piano's my big thing. I'm trying to get back into piano. We're trying to do a Christmas gig with our unnamed Halloween band, and so I'm like then there's like some heavy piano pieces, like Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas and stuff, that I'm trying to rekindle some piano skill that I've let kind of atrophy. Anyway, so back last year, we had this prototype mod that we had enabled, this container UI mod, and so basically I just turned that back on, and that means when I run the game, we can see kind of where things were left off. And at first I thought maybe that some of this was still in all script code, but apparently I had moved most of it over to Java, and it's basically ready to go, you know, minus the in-game wiring. And there's some things I want to fix, like the fact that it doesn't auto-position the things. Oh yeah, we got music and everything. But a lot of this was working. I mean, when I originally did the prototype, you know, I had stacking and stuff working, but because the current game engine, my prototype code knew about stacking, and the events and stuff are already set up there, but the actual Mythruna game itself doesn't know about stacking, and so there's no scripts to tie those two or anything, and so that's why I can't stack these. They just turn out red. And we used to have an apple shape, and I got rid of that because well, it's not a real apple shape, so I got rid of it. So now these are just looking like boxes, so you can't stack these either. The other thing is, like, used to be you could drop things on the container and it would try to place them in there. You still move things from container to container. The other thing is, like, you could double click this to open and close it. That's not working yet because the real game, again, doesn't have that option. So what I think that I'm going to do to get started is, oh yeah, so to remind you, the way the containers are scaled to 2D is based on their 3D volume. And when I did that for even reasonably sized chests, the grid was, you know, so big it couldn't fit on the screen. And so I've divided larger containers into layers, and you can see, like, you know, there's different layers here, and so you can see all the different things in, and you can see the layers underneath, so you get like a feel for there must be something in there. And I thought that's kind of cool because, like, you can see it down there, but you're not sure what layer is in, so you got, like, you get to dig through the treasure chest layers and find it, you know, to figure out where it is. But that means, like, chests are huge as far as storing things. I think that's going to be kind of cool. And yeah, so you can drag this around and it'll remember where that is in the different layers. Yes, if I move this down, you can see if I come back up here. Yeah, let's move down. So anyway, so that's going to be kind of cool. And all that stuff's working. That's Java code. It's in there. It's ready to be hooked up. I think the things that aren't hooked up are, like, I was looking at the script, the prototype script, and like we have like the thing that actually resolves the shapes. That's probably got to be hooked up correctly. Similarly, the thing that resolves the item sizes so that it knows how big to draw them. And I've thought about this for a year, and I may do this differently anyway, but look at what I have here hooked up first. Same with container sizes. So all these little things that are like hard-coded to look in local caches and stuff, so that we're going to have to hook those up to real things, and I'm not sure how much of that infrastructure already exists. I know I designed it around what was already there, but I don't, and, you know, I didn't have that in this particular prototype, so I had to code them. But that could be where we find some hiccups. There's also this thing I have not resolved yet about, like, there's two versions of container models. One has the top on it and the other one doesn't. Like here we can see I've made like a mini version of the backpack so that I can use it as like a sub-container because I didn't have any other geometry to use. So you got like a little version of the backpack here. And this is the open version, which is basically hard-coded to be whatever the regular one was, but with dash no top on it. Oh no, I guess I did implement it. This is an actual pouch. That's not the backpack. Yeah, cool. Yes, this is an actual pouch. It's smaller, and it's a different shape. You can see it doesn't have the buckles, and it's got little belt loops. So the idea would be this: you'd hang this from your belt or something, or in this case, put it inside your backpack. So maybe that's where you collect your herbs and other like small stackable items, or you keep coins in there. I don't know. I think coins are going to be separate. Anyway, that's the point there. The rest of this is all pretty standard. So we will have to hook up the action listener, or the item listener, to do the can drop can. So these will have to call scripts instead of talking to the ND system directly, because you can't modify. But again, I think that these, I think in the real full game, these scripts already exist because we already were able to drag and drop items. So I'm pretty sure this is just a wiring issue. So we may be further along. Of course, I won't need all this stuff because this was setting up this UI. So let's open the that's scripting. Where's the thing? This. Revisiting the container stuff. Good goals for today would be get the new container view running at least in parallel with the old one. Hook up shape retrieval. Make sure assemblies work. That was one issue with the old way. Like, you couldn't have compound objects in here. You could only have simple block objects, which meant even if you found like a statue of a person, you couldn't have that in there either. Oops. So hook up shape retrieval, hook up item drop, etc. scripts. So at least for inventory. So all this for at least for regular player inventory. Bonus would be to hook up the ability for scripts to pop open an object container opening chests. So if we get there, we're already like way farther than Mythruna got, than the regular code got. Also, able to drag items into the world. That maybe we probably won't get that tonight. And yeah, so yeah, save anyway. Yeah, word processors really don't like. Office software really doesn't like daylight savings time. It always looks like the file has changed to them. You'd think after all this time they'd have figured it out. Anyway, looks like we've got one viewer back right now, so it's going to be a lively live stream. So yeah, and I think like other things we'll have to deal with are like this text is too small, which I might be able to fix. That's probably in the Java code though, actually. I almost want to give these a different... Maybe I can make them little pumpkins instead of apples. So let's mess with some stuff real quick. I'm tired of hearing the music repeat. So where was the apple? So we've got Apple ID, Apple blocks. So yeah, let's we definitely found an apple. CD block set source main resources models items apple. Yeah, apple's still there. That's what I want. Copy. I may already have a pumpkin. Yeah. More apple blocks. Oops. Can't spell apple. More pumpkin blocks. So are they the same essentially except for... Yep. One's got an apple sphere, the other one's got a pumpkin sphere. So let's just change our prototype. Instead of these little apples, we'll have little pumpkins. It doesn't really matter. I want to see the text in a more realistic setting, the stack text. So, according to YouTube, I've only got one person watching. I hope I'm being entertaining. I want to give a special shout out to a user who on Discord is named Godon, Godon, because he's been in the server a lot actually, but he's been fine. Yeah, so now we got cool little fruit again, and you can kind of see the text a little better. So I can probably just increase that size maybe by 2 or 3 pixels. Nice. Okay. So this is just lying to me. But anyway, the user has been super helpful because like they have an older computer and they were finding lots of shader crashes and stuff for me. So like they're plagued with problems on their older computer, but because of them and they're willing to try out test releases and stuff over the weekend and last week and stuff, they helped me find and fix a lot of shader bugs. So shout out to Godon. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So I think that we don't need to worry about that because I moved it. Yeah, so I actually loaded an IDE earlier so I could refactor some of the code by moving the old code into this old package so that I could keep it straight, keep it out of the way of this. So let's load container management state. Why don't we release the object? Oh, it's an attribute, that's why. Where are we doing the little pop-up text? Is that a separate layer? It doesn't appear to be, but yeah, here we go, the label. 10 out of 10. It doesn't have a style, which makes it harder to control. I don't know what's up, but man, my neck has been a little sore lately. Oh, set label scale. Okay, so we do have a label scale. Let's double its size and see what that looks like. I think that's going to be too big, but we shall zero in on something good, and I'll take some screenshots, I think, if I can. Also, that same user who is running on an older computer and I think can't even run the far terrain has built some really cool stuff in the server. I recommend going and checking it out. But yeah, he goes by Harbinger in the game, and so if you look on this in the Discord server, if you go to the server activity, you can see Harbinger has joined. He's been on a lot. He or she, I don't know. Okay, so I thought I doubled in size the text, so something is clearly not changing the size of the text. So we saved the screenshot. I know I heard it. Is this really doing it? Aw, shame on them. Nice. Um, okay, let me see if this is even the code that I'm looking at. Yeah, so we've also got this other thing that's... Okay, that's taking the scale into consideration. Right, I'm just going to see if it's even using the code. But yeah, getting that hookup between the server and Discord was kind of cool, actually. It went really smoothly. I was able to just add it as a plugin mod for the server. Didn't have to write any Java code. I was pretty happy about that. Yeah, so it is using this code. I guess it made it bigger. It doesn't look any bigger to me. Let's make it something ridiculous, and then we'll know for sure. We're kind of getting sidetracked, but okay, so let's make it 2. Because it could be that I'm overriding that scale somewhere else. Which I suppose I could have searched for. Past Paul has been known to sabotage me like that before. At least we don't have to click through menus or anything. We get right in. Yeah, see, it didn't change the size at all. Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing I gotta... Oh, so there's another issue. I've gotta make it so you can't drag these into each other. Because that looks just... That's problematic. Yeah, so something is overriding... Something is overriding the scale here. So let's do... Let's look for set label scale. Maybe I'm thinking of it incorrectly. Oh, that is setting the local scale. Setting the local scale model, that's fine. That's fine. So why isn't it making it bigger? Yeah, this scale value is not even used. The slot sizing seems to still work. This is very strange. I'm only going to spend a few more minutes on this and then we'll move on, because we can't stack items anyway yet, so I don't want to get too wrapped around the axle about something that doesn't matter tonight. It was just one of those things I thought it would be an easy tweak. It turned out not to be an easy tweak. Okay, so if I just drag this, it should redo it. I don't see it. One thing's for sure, we've got way too... Oh, you know what? I wonder if I'm overriding it in the prototype code. I bet I am. I know for certain I am. I just remembered there's code in the prototype that overrides that. So, why did I do that? Yeah, right here. I made it even smaller. Because, like, I guess by default it's not there. Yeah, so it's a static. Yeah. So let's just let it set itself to the normal size and see what that looks like. The good times of getting distracted. But as, you know, referring earlier to motivation, if all of your distractions are also moving the game forward, then that's okay. Yeah, check it out. So that's like way too big. And so that's with it set to 0.1. So 0.1, definitely way too big. Oh, you know, I didn't have to restart. Oh, speaking of ADHD, have you guys checked out the new website yet? So yeah, I redid the website. It's still like way bare bones, but it's got the ability to download. And actually, this you can download this release, or you can, if you find it, you can go see all the previous releases here and find those. I need to still put up the original Mythruna releases from 2011, 2012. I do want to put those up, but they don't follow the format, so it's like a little harder to do, but I will get there. I also need to flesh out the game features page and probably put a lore to talk about the races and, you know, just sort of the quote-unquote story behind the game and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm kind of happy with it, and like I like this picture I created of a library. And anyway, that's why I was looking up book sizes, because I'm trying to figure out what size books should actually be in Mythruna, because the one in our inventory right now feels really huge. Anyway, that's the new thing, and you can get all the cool, like, you know, Patreon, Blue Sky, shitter, you know, XITTER, shitter. Anyway. Anyway, so back to this problem at hand. So this was too small. We can just run it, and I think it will live reload. Bajoink. But anyway, yeah, I finally went and on my hosting service, they've been charging me extra because I couldn't upgrade PHP, and so I'm finally able to upgrade PHP and get that mark off my account, so I'm not getting like the extended support. Oh, you're probably right. And there's no YouTube link. Like yeah, there's no YouTube link, and there are so many videos on YouTube now because the fact that we got interrupted working on this. So last year in October we were working on this and then got interrupted by Halloween, but that means I've been doing live streams for over a year because we were well into it by the time I worked on this stuff. So yeah, the fact that I don't have a YouTube link up here is a huge oversight. Yeah. Thanks. Romcram with the save there, so thanks a lot. Okay, so we should be able to live update this to 0.02, and we should see it reset itself. Yeah. And like I've still got the test text there, so that's probably not great. But it is actually changing the size, and actually I can read it with my poor eyesight that that's 1/4 and 1/9. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm gonna get rid of my testing text in here because that's icky. Where did I put it? Well, let's look for test colon. Oh, wrong thing. Yeah, that's why I couldn't find it. Alright, let's go back to here. Alright, so how to hook this up. I think let's turn off the prototype for a second. And we'll find everywhere I enable the old one. And we'll enable the new one. So I think in here, wherever we have container view state. Yeah, look at that. So that was done by anyway, that was done by the IDE and IntelliJ. Container management state. Now, is it enabling and disabling that opens and closes the... That's another good question. How do we show... How do we turn on and off the... So let's look at the enable, disable of this. Enable... Yeah, we started any of the managers. We don't actually open anything. So we potentially have a bunch of problems to solve. Adding the container root. Yeah, so we don't know how to open and close a container yet. Maybe we aren't quite ready to turn off the prototype. Well, let's figure out what we got to do, and then I'll worry about whether we still want the prototype on or not. Because adding a container root, that's not necessarily mean we want to pop it open. When we're enabled, because that's the other thing, is we want this to stay enabled all the time. Yeah, so that is not something we worked out, or if we did, it was in the earlier prototype. So let's look at the code that I have disabled. Basically all this UI direct stuff. Because there was a way we double clicked on it. Click. If the button count is greater than 1, that means we double clicked. Item view state. That would be it. So yes, container management is different than viewing it. That is the aha. So there's an item view state. This is what's responsible for displaying the things. And this, yeah, so this is what will add and remove the GUI. And opening and closing should be adding or removing the item container. And that's separate from whether we're managing it or not. So the container manager state is just managing like the objects themselves, the game objects, so that they're already loaded. Because you guys probably have seen this. Let me turn this off. Let me show you again. The immediate problem I'm trying to solve and why we're back. Oh, it already is false. Okay. Why we're back here today because as I have to connect to a server that's across the world, I notice all of the things that you guys have been noticing. So it's good. Me being on the East Coast US, connecting to a server in Central Europe, I was pleasantly surprised by the performance, actually. But some things that I knew were already a problem, I now see as huge, huge, huge problems. So this is all pretty good, right? That took a little longer than I'd like, but clicking on that, but that's fine. It was loading the clothing, basically. So anyway, when we're in the game, everything's pretty good. It takes a little longer than usual to... yeah, so I just saw there was a Discord message, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should check to see who's saying it. If it's me, it's because I joined the server. Yeah, so this is Godon's house here that I was talking about. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. And for Ron, yeah, there's probably a bunch of new objects for you to copy. So there's that. So yeah, one of the things is the portal blindness stays up a lot longer, and that's just, you can watch how that's coming down. It's just takes a little longer to load the data for the far terrain and stuff, but you can see it kind of coming in as we go, and this ticking down. So I may have to put like a little spinny earth or spinny globe or something here showing you that you're loading terrain, so that there's like a indication that that's why. But right now I'm going to hit I to bring up my inventory for the first time, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1000. So it takes almost 10 seconds to load the inventory the first time. It's pretty slow the second time, but I mean, it's okay, that's not too bad actually. But this is one of the things I'm trying to fix, because it has to like get and organize all this stuff the first time, and we saw like all the logs is streaming those one at a time from the server. And in reality, when you first connect, I could be streaming these in and they could already be here. And the other thing is, when they're loading in, I already know they're there and I already know what position they are. And so as their objects are loading, that's one thing I want to add later, is that it shows a little like sleepy progress icon or something, so you know that there's objects coming, which would kind of be an interesting mechanic. Like if you found a treasure chest in the world and you go to open it, you know, there's a lot of these modern games where you know, they make you wait while you quote unquote search the crate or whatever you're opening. And so that could be part of the mechanic, is that, you know, it's as it loads in, it just takes you time to search through the chest kind of thing. So that's okay, but your own inventory should pop up instantly like this, and the fact that it doesn't is a real problem. Anyway, yeah, while we're here, I'll exit again and I'll show you the... So I took that library building, which I designed some months back, or maybe even last year, and I decked it out to make that new site page. This is also where we're going to go and test containers when we get them working. My nose is itchy. Yeah, so we should be able to go over here and see that I have server activity. Yep, faded, join, faded, left. Alright. Come on. I do think it's kind of cool that she's basically in the same position every time, so it's like the background is just changing behind her. This is the world we created and explored last week, I think, for whatever reason. I don't remember why. Maybe I was showing somebody something. To be honest, I don't even remember what we worked on last week. Yeah, so anyway, I have my cool bookshelves and things, but this is why I was worried about bookshelf sizes, or book sizes, because these bookshelves while they look very nice in a photo, right? They look very nice here. I think there's too many shelves. So I may have to move them all closer together. The thing is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're exactly as I can't make them farther apart without making it every other shelf, and that seems too big. And so I had actually put the book in my hand kind of thing to see kind of what it looked like. And in her hand, it doesn't look like a bad size, but yeah, so we got like clipping through all the things here. But you can see how it's kind of... let me see if I can capture a screenshot just at the right time. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, so I worry about these things. So I did a little research on what common book sizes in the Middle Ages were. And there were no standard sizes, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so we can't quite see very well, but like that book almost fits on these shelves. Of course, laying down flat it would, but I kind of want the library look. Anyway, she's not really holding it. Okay. Anyway, back to the task at hand. 2 levels of ADHD deep at this point. Okay, so let's turn this... No, we still want to leave that off. So container manager state, we ought to be able to just add. It's item view state that we'll have to enable and disable. So let's, what do we want to do? Container view state. So wherever we're adding this, we want to add this. And we probably want to add new item view state. And let me make sure that doesn't take anything on the constructor. It does not. And this won't do nothing. Except for I think container view state disables itself by default. Yep. So we want to do the same thing for this. And probably that's going to screw up our prototype. But okay, so that. And then so wherever we have container view state, we want to also have item view state here. Yeah, that's good. We're good. So this is the state machine for the user interface. So as you enable and disable different things, you move to different states. So when you're in the container view, which is your inventory view, these are the components, not components, but the UI services, if you want to call them. So JMonkey Engine uses this word state for like an app state, which is kind of like a UI or application service in a way. You can enable and disable them, attach them, detach them. They're kind of ways of extending the application. I use them for UI management and things like that. So in here we're saying whenever we move into this particular state, the container view, we want to enable this item view state, and when we move out of it again, we want to disable it. So that means when we hit I or we hit the tab, we'll pop that open. And it should fail dramatically. But let's see. I think we have way stuff to hook up. And I don't think it will know, like the item view state won't even know about our inventory. It occurs to me that joining a server would actually be faster because I don't have to load a world. I could set up, I should have set up the local server and connect it to that. Oh well. So point of lesson learned for the future is if I set up a server locally and connect to that. We won't have to go through all this load time stuff every time. As long as there are no backend changes, then we would have a problem. Yeah, so see, we're getting it. I think those are probably bad things happening. Nope. Just normal query took too long warnings. Okay. I am going to grep the logs. Container man star.log or Mythruna client.log. Container management state initialized. But that's it. It doesn't know about our container. So it's not actually loading any containers. Container management state needs to be told about its container root. And who should be doing that? I think the game session state should be doing that. But anyway, let's see if the item view state fails dramatically if we try to open the inventory. Nope. Okay, so the old item view is still working. We're still holding the book. Yeah, that book sits way high in the inventory. Alright, so that is not working. So let's see, game session state. I think it gets notified or knows the avatar ID. Get bum. Feel a sneeze coming. Excuse me. So I'm trying to figure out. Oh, thank you. How early it is before we know about the entity ID of our player character. As soon as we know that, we want to set that as a container root. But I think we let the avatar state figure that out itself. I thought we grabbed it earlier than that. And you know what? There's a logic to having the avatar state control what the current container is. Because even though in Neverwinter Nights you could have familiars, you know, standard D&D rules, so you could have a familiar. And in Neverwinter Nights you could possess your familiar and go walk around as them. So the original Fade character, which was a character in Neverwinter Nights on a persistent world server that I ran, she had a Black Panther as a familiar, and she could possess it and walk around the world that way, which was really cool. And I like that idea that you could possess or inhabit other creatures, and especially for eventually Mythruna, I want to be able to have like a dungeon master be able to run role-playing in a Mythruna world, and so they'd be like an invisible party that could inhabit NPCs and act them out and stuff. Anyway, so the idea that the avatar state, the thing that's keeping track of what your player avatar character is at any given time, should be the thing managing what your current inventory is a pretty good idea. Because then if you were walking around as the Panther, obviously you can't access your inventory. So I think I'm going to, excuse me, put that into the avatar state. I think that's a good idea. which is in view, avatar state. But I'm trying to decide if I want to manage it through the game session state. Nice. Cool. Yeah. It was so much fun walking around as a cat, panther. And you could, like, while you were possessed as them, you could do things that they could do. Like, there was another version of the world where the familiar was like a little mini dragon, and so it could fly. So you could get over, like, obstacles in the floor and stuff. It was kind of cool. But yeah, I definitely like familiars. I like being able to possess familiars. I like being able to see things from another player's point or another character's point of view. I think it's just a great idea. Okay, so when is the avatar ID set? It doesn't change often. Oh, so we only set it once. Yeah, and in the case of, like, the other argument for having the thing that's managing your character in the game, your avatar, is that if you were a dungeon master, you might have a set of inventory that is part of you, and even if you're possessing an NPC, you still want that inventory, and so having some place of game logic that knows what that is, manage that, is a good idea. But I'm just trying to see if I'm listening for the change, and so no, we don't, but we could, and this is where we would. So, because this is where we're setting. So there's this avatar holder thing, which is a versioned holder, which is other parts of the application can listen or watch this for changes, which means that this class, this app state, which is an application service, is responsible for what ground truth of what the current avatar entity is. So this is where we would manage that. And we have the game session. But we do not have the game session state. That's fine. We don't need it. But I kind of... Yeah, right. All right. We will import this. I don't like it. Like, I almost think that... Alright. Future Paul will probably regret that I'm doing this. The thing is, like, with the item view state, I'm going to have to do similar... I am going to need both of them. Yeah, so the idea is that there can be many containers managed by the container management state. There's one that will always be there, and that's the players. But as you open chests, or if you had more than one container on you, your backpack, your whatever, these would all be managed in here. And the item view state, they would only be added here if they need to open and close, like with the UI. But all of your inventory should be here, so that's always going to be there. But if you were a dungeon master possessing an NPC, you might have two separate inventories, one for you as a dungeon master, one for the NPC that you're possessing, because you don't want to have all your dungeon master stuff in there if, like, the NPC gets killed and so on and so forth, because that'll become the loot of the... Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Hopefully making the future seem exciting. So since we know right away what the avatar ID is, wherever we set this avatar holder is where we also want to get state container management state.class. And this is where I expect things to blow up a little bit, because we've not set any of these resolver guys. Add container root. I believe the avatar ID should be the container. Oops, container root. And then we want to do the same thing for the item view state. That is going to be add item container. Let's try it. Or I wonder if it has to be the individual. Because basically everything that the avatar is holding, whether it's got a backpack or a pouch or whatever, they're still the same root. And that's the container root, and then there's a hierarchy underneath that. And I don't know if the item view state wants the individual items, like the backpack and whatever. So let us see what item view state is being used for in the prototype code. Okay, add the listener, that's fine. Whenever we would open it up, we would see if it had it already. So it is definitely the individual items. The backpack and the adding the root won't do what we want. Yeah. So we have to add the children. Let's see if it's UI direct. If it's not UI direct, we never add that stuff. See in here, we don't do anything with the clicks. Yeah, so I think it shows it automatically. Maybe. Because when I run the prototype, UI direct is false, so it's not running this. This is when we were bypassing all these other classes. Or we weren't using the entity system to manage the components and stuff. But yeah, I don't see anywhere where we're calling add item container when it's not UI direct. Yeah, so it must be automatic, I guess? It's weird. How did they get... Ah. So... root manager, that's fine. Add item container. So here's where it is doing it. So yeah, we automatically open them because there's no other way to open. Okay, so we're good there. Where we're gonna get stuck is all of this stuff. So we'll have to hook up some things. But let's see how badly we blow up. I found out long ago. It's a long way down the holiday road. Holiday road. Okay. I've got avatar ID right there. Add item container. Oh, I don't have to do this. Because it doesn't take an ID anyway. We'll leave that out for now. No, that's right. There's an API. Okay, so I had lots of different ideas on how the game would control what containers were open and closed, and so sometimes they blend together in my mind. And the way it currently works is there's a way to, like at the user prompt level, to tell the client to open its inventory or to open a container. I believe I put that API in. I think it ultimately is misguided and that's not the way it should have been done, but it is there already. According to my notes, it's there already. But it doesn't matter because that doesn't get matter until we start to open chests and stuff. Yep. We crashed. This ED is null. Okay. Well, that's not even the error that I expected, so that's all right. So apparently we're not setting up that container very well. We might be oh no, see? It's got to find it. It should have found it. That doesn't really make sense. Unless I create them too soon. No. Root manager, yeah, I do. This won't work until we've already been initialized. That's a problem. The problem is we've added the container root while we're starting up. We haven't run initialize yet. So we haven't gotten our other stuff yet. And I think I want to support the ability to add a container root before we've even got there. Against my better judgment, linked just do a list. Pending roots. New array list. While we're starting up. So if ed equals null, pending roots dot add root, so we're going to delay it until we're ready to initialize, and then we will iterate over all of those. Pending roots, add container roots, pending roots dot clear. Okay. Itchy nose. Okay. So now we should fail in a different way. Oops. Yeah, one of the other things I've been doing, speaking of motivation, is been trying to practice drums again once a day. So now I got all these funk songs stuck in my head as well too. Come on, here we go. Yay! Alright. Yeah, so now we're getting to the errors I expected to get. Basically, those functions that aren't defined. Alright. Now I have to figure out how to define those. Okay. So... I wonder if we can set up defaults if they're not set up already. So these are the ones we need to set up. The shape resolver, the item size resolver, and the container size resolver. Ooh, we're still calculating all that. Ugh. I guess maybe I didn't implement the data hooks. But let's double check that. Because I wouldn't have been able to use them from the... It's possible I did do them. Data session. I did set up a generic request. Data handler. Let's see what's going on with that. Oh, yeah, data request. I did it right. Okay. Just trying to see what data I support so far. Data type. Maybe nothing. Let's just double check on the client. Oops. Yeah, find source dash name star.java xargs grep data request. I do. Container view state. Ah. I did hook some of this up. So container view state is pulling back item size. Oh yeah, I didn't do anything with it though. It's just there. But let's look for item size handler. And let's see if I implemented it for real. ERR. Okay, interesting. Item. Yeah, item size handler. We're not actually doing anything with it. Okay. Poop. But this is where we would do it. The thing. And we would do something similar for container size. And the args would be a list of entity IDs that we wanted the sizes for. And all this because I don't want to make an actual container or component on the object, just because it was so repetitive. Like every item, if you wanted to have like how big this item is, every item in the game would have this component, even though many items will share the same size. And so it seemed wasteful. Like you may only have like maybe say like 50 different types of objects. There's only 50 different sizes, but you may have thousands of those objects. And so it seemed better to be able to flexibly associate it with the type of the object, not just the object. But yeah. But that means we are not, this is not hooked up yet. And I don't know that I want to do that tonight. But yeah, we're just passing the one ID in for the item we want the view for. Okay. But if I don't do this, I've got this big honkin' piece of code right here that's got to get the shape, calculated size, and a similar thing for containers. So it might be worth wiring this up. Well, let me see if I can stub it in for now. So let me just put this here. So we have something for reference. The shape resolver we should be able to do. That's legit something that I think the model view state can already tell us, but let me double check. Just all this asynchronous stuff that has to happen, you know. If we use the model view state, the benefit of that is that we get the ability to do assemblies, rigs, whatever. You know, if we want a statue of a bird in our inventory, we could have a statue of a bird, that kind of thing. Yes, if we can get us create spatial and we give it a callback. Yeah, so basically we just wire that one up directly. So that one should be straightforward. So if shape resolver equals null, set up the standard one. And so the standard one would be get state. Do I already have models? I should actually just grab them. Oh wait, shape resolver equals shape resolver is a by consumer that takes a shape info fudge. I don't think I have one of those. I broke down and bought the newest Pokemon game. What a low effort project. Aw, I'm only playing it out of obligation. I hate that not only will they make a fortune, but I supported it. Aw, yeah. I still play Pokemon Go every day to do my daily quests. That's as far as I get with Pokemon at this point. So I think we want to make a version of this that just takes a shape info. Do we have one already? Since Baldur's Gate 4, Baldur's Gate 3. Was it Baldur's Gate 3 or Baldur's Gate 4? What did I play since then? I feel like I spent a few minutes in something else. Did I play Oblivion Remastered before or after Baldur's Gate 3? I think I played Oblivion Remastered after Baldur's Gate 3. And then I've downloaded a bunch of free stuff that PlayStation gives me, and then goes PS Plus. I don't know that I've played any of it, but it's funny because I was going to buy that game Stray for my wife. I had been considering it. And that's one of the free games of the month. So I downloaded that. I played that to the point where you get the little backpack. But that's a kind of a neat game that you run around as a little kitty. It's kind of cool. But that's the extent. Like, I spend like 20, 30 minutes in a game, and then I want to go work on Mythruna. So that's probably a good thing, I guess. But yeah, I call it research when I'm doing it. It's like, I got to get my research done. Okay, so this... I might be able to... Oh, so it expects to be running on a background thread. We call model factory is type-based model factory. So Model Factory has all of the stuff. Yeah, for facsimiles, everything. But and the spatial request can I make one where I already give it the shape info? Alright, let's see how shape request is used again. I'm not even looking at the right thing anymore. Okay, so we create the new request, and then we set the retriever to get the shape info. And then it will call us back with this, and then we will get load shape. And if we've already got the spatial, otherwise we have to run periodically until the shape is here. And I think that means that if I already have the shape info, that I can skip that part. So let's try, what if we said that already has, because I don't think I have the entity ID at all here. No, I'm just given a shape info. So let's just say we have the shape info. And we want the callback. So in this case, does spatial request use the entity ID for anything other than loading the shape? It does use it for loading the shape. But I think that's only... So there's a lot of asynchronous stuff going on, so I've built these utilities in to make that easier. And so here we've got a get string. We can give it any ID we want. Yeah, so what am I doing here? That's not the right place. You look at model view state. Oh yeah, we're just passing the int. So yeah, that's fine. We're not using this entity ID here. Okay, so entity ID, we don't use it there. We do use it here, but I don't think that Model Factory uses it. It's just informational. I think... But why don't we have one? Is that because I can only pass two? Shape model. So the item knows its entity ID. We could have passed it. It just doesn't matter is all. Okay. So let's go with this, that I don't need the entity ID. Model factory is a type-based model factory. Create model does not use the entity ID for anything here. I don't believe we use it for anything. So I think I'm okay to set it to null. And if that's a problem, so spatial request, we set it to null. And then we say request. We've already got the shape. And so then we let it do its thing. Okay, and then in here, oh, I'm all kinds of in the wrong place here. So in here, shape resolver equals it needs to be a takes a shape info and a callback. So shape callback. And I think that I could just say, no, I have to create spatial. Oh, no, I set it up the same. So yeah, I should be able to just say models, : create spatial. Hook it directly up to the method. Let's see if it likes that. Sometimes the lambda stuff and method references get me confused. Okay. Okay, it just doesn't like that I don't have this pulled in. View.model, view state. Not my best work, but I so badly want to grab a piece of gum. Okay. No. Oh, well, for one thing, you got to use the correct capitalization. Oops. Like that. Okay, so now okay. I think it's view object. Meh. Yeah, okay. It doesn't like that. Oh, bad return type. Alright, I have a feeling that it's telling me create spatial returns void. I'm expecting void. So anyway, this is, I'll just call it the way I know should work, and then when it complains about why that's not working, I'll get a better idea, maybe. Nope, I have no idea why that other didn't work. That should have been equivalent to... Oh, I know why. You don't even need this part if you're gonna... Yeah, that's dumb. That's all you need. Okay. I just don't have a lot of experience there. It's like I know magic is possible, but okay. So we've got a shape resolver. That's good. Now we need an item size resolver. And I think I might just, for now, hard code this. Item size resolver. We're only going to get the one. So item size, I think, doesn't really matter yet, except for that's how it sets the grid bounds in the little thing. So I think I should be able to just return. I feel better if I added this item size resolver equals. Takes an entity ID and an inventory size 2D consumer. And so I think ID callback, and then what we do is we immediately is it 2D? Did I name it correctly or incorrectly? And that is very much in the eye of the beholder. Let's just do default. And I did do it correctly. So then we pass this to the callback. Normally we'd do this asynchronously, but right now we're just going to do this. So now we finally need if container size resolver, oops, equals null. Then we're going to set this to. But let me see. Can I re-enable my prototype? Did I break something that makes this not work? I feel like a minute ago I broke something or talked about breaking something that was going to make this stop working. Let's see. The issue is that I want to see what we're resolving. I want to see what this is right here. Log info container size. Because we're only going to have the one container at the moment, so we can hard code it temporarily. Okay, so I haven't played the remastered yet. Worth it? I love Skyrim VR. Stray was fun for the kids. I support your research. I mean, I booted up Oblivion just to see. I bought it because I was in the mood to play. I don't know. I missed some things about Oblivion that Skyrim did easier. And I had memories from a long time. So I got it one day and just to try it, and then ended up sinking a whole weekend into it. I got, like, when I originally played, I ignored the main quest completely, but this one I did some of the main quests so I could get my horse, and then of course then I found an Oblivion gate and I went through that and I did all that. And so yeah, I got hooked for a little bit. And then I joined the Blood Guard or whatever it is up in the mountains. And then now I'm at like the point where I'm a free agent at this point. I'm not like looking to do any of the regular quests or anything. So so then I kind of stopped playing. So it's complaining about the actual code. So one of these is missing. It's missing its semicolon. Early in my programming career, I had a boss who used to just come up behind me and goes, "Looks like you're missing a semicolon right there." He didn't know anything about programming, but he just knew semicolons were important. And so he just walked up behind me. Looks like you're missing a semicolon right there. He was okay, yeah. So I'm requiring model view state now, which that's what I did that broke it. So let's do this for now. Yeah, he was funny because he'd have his same jokes that he'd use all the time that were pretty funny. Like with repetition, they kind of got funnier. We worked in the facilities department. Oh yeah, so something's not working here. I worked in the offices off the facilities department, so down near the loading docks. And when women would come down to drop packages off or whatever, and they'd be wearing perfume or whatever, and he'd go, "Oh, you stink real pretty." All right, so something is preventing the things from showing. What did I do? I set the item view state to false by default. That's the thing I really did that broke it. That I was thinking, oh yeah, this is going to break my prototype. So I need to come in here, and where I'm attaching that, because the setting it to false in the constructor is actually the correct answer. Anyway, because it was off the loading dock and we were part of the facilities department and it was back in the early 90s, there are many of his repeated jokes that I cannot repeat online without getting in trouble. But those were some of the tamer ones. Him coming up behind me all the time. Looks like you're missing a semicolon. Okay, so all this is working. I should be able to figure out what the medium-sized container was. It was a long trip to figure out what to hard code my okay. Containers, it's not showing the contents of because I did a capital. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. It's getting late. But I'm kind of excited about working on this weekend because I have dreams about where I can take objects in inventory next. But if I get this wrapped up this weekend, then I can start working on... I'm off on Thanksgiving week, and I can start working on character mobs again and stuff. I really want to have like NPCs walking around towns and things. Okay, I'm done. This I just needed to run it. I didn't need to do anything with it. All right, there we go. Oh, it even has oh, I didn't even need to put that because we've got, I think it's 25 by 13. But we got this nicely labeled one here that's got that as part of its... It must, yeah. And actually we may need both of these. Just thinking the way it knows how big to draw the regular, yeah, so well, okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So we should only have one container resolver, one container to resolve in this particular case. And this is another ID callback situation. Yes, ID callback. Boink, boink. And the one we want, and I'm gonna just turn this into real code and then get rid of this Oops. Ooh, my hand started to hurt. So the container has these parts. Okay, so this is the stuff for the container. You know what I should do is this. Because then I can just hit return and I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so the item size is this. And so we may have to get clever about how we hard code things, because this is all used to figure out how big to draw the thing in the view, what scale to use. Yeah, so this is the container. Container size. This is the one we want right here. But let's see. Yes, we want all of that. Okay. New inventory size 2D. All those things. And let me see if it lets me pass them all on the constructor. $25, $10. New. So let's get the Vec 3D. New Quad D. Right, rotations next, yep. Alright, let's multi-line this. And then last but not least, the offset. Doink, 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 doink. Da-dum, dum, da-dum, dum. Bump. Okay, so we ought to be able to turn our prototype back off and see what we blow up this time. Oh yeah, my wrist hurts for some reason. Rut row. Oh yeah. Rut row, Raggy. Why are you complaining, actually? Incompatible type. Bad return type. Oh, yes. Thought it was an import problem, but it's actually a... We don't do returns here. We're building a result to pass back to a callback. Because we're pretending to run in the background on a background thread. Asynchronously. Simultaneous. You and me. Simultaneous. Alright, continue the last world. Maybe we will see something. Maybe it will blow up again. Who's gonna make a guess? I like that. I like some of these scenes a lot, actually. I've seen them so many times, and there's just a few of them that like definitely stand out above the others that I really like. This one, okay, it's meh. But some of them are like, yeah, that's a cool shot. I look forward to getting more cool shots when we have like NPCs walking around and stuff. Okay, we didn't blow up on startup. I really need to make the simian race because then I could have the simians who run the library, I could have a statue of one of them here. Like, larger than life, because the simians are going to be rather short of stature. Well, the intellectual simians, anyway. And so it'd be fun to have, like, a large statue there. Okay, so let's bring up the inventory and see what happens. Cringe, cringe, cringe. Okay, well... I hoped for more. But it didn't blow up, and it did blow up before. So I wonder if it's just a view not getting shown sort of issue. Alright, let us look at the logs. Container, that's good. And it's fine. Mythruna. Not blowing up is the first step towards working properly. Yeah. Okay, so it was actually, so the container manager, good news, was actually loading the stuff. So that's a good sign. Was it loading the views? So we've got crappy slots all around. That's not great, but okay. So again, it could have just been that the backpack size, and I can actually hard code this for a second. If ID new entity, actually, so if ID get ID equals this, because that is the that is the one for my backpack. But you see, like, the this is the size it would be inside of another backpack, basically. And so it's a little different, well, it's a lot different than the number of slots in the backpack. And I believe, oops, that it uses this to figure out what size to render it. So whether this is the problem or not, it is definitely a problem. And then we'll look at the logs a little more. Else. Yeah, I could have done this differently, but I didn't, so sue me. Okay, so that's that. At least one of the things will be the correct size. But let's look at this again and see what's going on. Did we ever get notified with our spatials? do we get notified with our spatials? Let's, where is create spatial used and what does it call back? Oh, it's not. So item view state uses create spatial. No? Or, no, that's, I'm an idiot. That's shape resolver. Okay, so something calls shape resolver here. Item set model. Do we... That is a separate class. Set model. Log info. Set model. I just want to see if anything is even getting its spatials. Entity ID. Entity ID. Alright. So we will get a lot more logging now. I just think if we could get to the point where both of it, the old and new inventory pop up next to each other before the live stream's done, that would be super cool. I don't know that we'll get there. But even if we get the other backpack, the backpack to open, then it's a size issue. I can be pretty sure of that. Hey, it showed the same view randomly. The one I was complimenting before. I think this one's kind of cool too. The desert cave. This one's more of a meh one. Beach town. All right. Alrighty, come on. Okay. I saw a whole bunch of stack traces. So there's just... Ooh. Because the return values of spatial model get entity ID is null. So something is using that entity ID for something. And so we're not getting the spatials loaded. I think as I went through all that stuff, but default model factory line 81. So let's check that out. Is it default model factory here? Yep. Line 81. I gotcha. I gotcha. That is what we use the ID for. And we will definitely 1000% want the ID. So we are going to really quickly wire in a new interface. So we can't just use by function or by resolver anymore, or so by consumer anymore. We're going to have to make our own shape resolver. And since we already have the shape info, I don't want to look it up. So let's call it shape resolver. And I don't know that I like this name. And it's going to be an interface. We don't need all this crap. The ID, entity ID, shape info, consumer spatial callback. Okay, so this will be the new interface And we need to import a bunch of crap. Some silica. ES, entity ID, import. I can never remember where shape info is. But this will know. Dum dum dum. Okay, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Import com Jamie3 scene spatial. Okay, so let's see if this compiles. No. Oh, consumer. Dir. I really think it's too bad that the functional stuff came so late that it can't be just part of the default Java lang. That we always have to import it. It's unfortunate. Because it came late enough that there actually are other implementations and other libraries and so on. Okay. Such is the nature of software engineering, that we didn't think of those things before. Okay, so let's temporarily comment this out. Call this shape resolver. Actually, we're just do like this. Shape resolver. Nope, skip that one. Replace that one. Replace that one. Yes. Jeez. And we can, yes, we can, because we're going to change the create spatial to also take an entity ID. This might go quicker than I thought. Alright. Let's run. I keep seeing my head down in the lower part of the screen as I move around. It's like, wait, is there a bug crawling down there? Nope, it's just me. 495. Oh yeah. The actual use 495. We can pass this. We can pass the ID now. Get entity ID. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, because it's part of the base class. Do 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 do. Shape resolver. Oh, it's resolve shape. The name changed. Oh, somebody's cooking dinner. My wife and I eat dinner really late. You guys are probably like, dinner time? What time is it there? It's 11 p.m. here. Yes, we don't eat dinner till 11 p.m. We are night owls, officially. Usually I eat dinner around 10:30, I guess. Super unhealthy. I guess it's not so bad considering I don't go to bed till 3 a.m. So I guess works out. And I basically never eat breakfast. There's a productivity hack for you. Don't eat breakfast. For whatever reason, I find the first meal of the day makes me sleepy. Kills all of my motivation. Now, my wife just, she's just also, she's wheelchair bound, and so she spends most of her day in her her comfy chair. And so her schedule is basically what the rest of the family's schedule is. So she gets up because she gets up at 7 because she has to take pills, and then usually goes back to sleep sometime mid-morning, and so on. I have a Pepsi, and I'm really bad with the cold caffeine because I have a Pepsi in the morning for breakfast, but I don't actually eat anything because the first time I finally eat something for the day, like I get this crash. I just want to go take a nap. Yeah. Likewise. I mean, I used to make breakfast for the kids every day, and I used to say things, like breakfast, most important meal of the day, blah blah. But as far as productivity goes, I watched some guy who was giving all these productivity hacks, and he's like, I'm going to give you all these hacks on things I learned over the last year to make myself more productive. But when I tell you the last one, I'm going to tell you that was more significant than all the other ones, and so like you might find that these other ones don't matter anymore. And his last one was that he just skipped breakfast. ate lunch at like 1 or 2 o'clock, but like his mornings were like super productive because he skipped breakfast. I'm like, oh, okay. I skipped breakfast a lot of days, and I found I was more productive those days. So I was like, okay, I'll just make that a thing. I just won't ever eat breakfast. Some days I don't even eat lunch. I mean, I snack. I have like baby carrots that I keep in my fridge here, but okay. So let's see if it's gonna blow up or do something. Okay, it didn't blow up, but I also don't see anything. But it also could just be in a very bad place, like off the screen or something. I might have specifically moved them into screen. Oh, what was all that? Gotta wait for it to finish to go see. Yes, it's cleaning up all of the inventory. Oh, it's spawn encounters. Yeah, so we're in a like lush area, so it's got lots of spawn encounters. All right, so item view, because this item view is not what we're interested in. Item set model. So we want to say grep item set model Mythruna. Do you ever get called? No. Hmm. But why though? Maybe we're not really item view state. Well, we don't log when this is called, so maybe that's not a great idea. Well, let me make sure I didn't get any errors back there. So maybe we, in my jibber jabber, maybe I wasn't paying attention. All right, let's just do the old-fashioned way. Nope. All the normal stuff. We do like, holidays and things. Sometimes we'll have a breakfast, a family breakfast, like monkey bread and some cinnamon rolls and things like that for Thanksgiving, Christmas, that kind of thing. So what could be going wrong? First we'll have to figure out if that's even getting called. The other thing I wanted to check in my prototype was if I'm actually moving these things. Oh, nice. Nice. Lucky. I really do not like Microsoft 365. I mean, I appreciate Microsoft Office. I still find Excel extremely annoying in some cases because I'm used to LibreOffice. But I don't mind Microsoft Office, but I really hate Outlook. I just really, really hate Outlook. Alright, so let me make sure there's not something weird I'm doing that's putting this stuff in a good place. Nice. Yeah. Might be worth owning some Alphabet stock. So see these containers. So that's UI direct stuff. I don't need to worry about that. But let me make sure there wasn't something moving the container stuff around. So let's just check item view state. This is one of the problems with coming from a prototype to the actual code is you may get hidden some things in here. So all that's good. Test container. Oh, it's UI direct stuff. That doesn't count. That's yeah, UI direct stuff. So we're not doing anything special with that. Oh well, we're not even getting the spatial, so we know something's up already. Let's just okay. I'm trying to avoid running again, but we'll just do it. Yeah, at some point for my own domains, my hosting provider switched to Microsoft 365 for email, and I hate it. I lost capability because I used to have just all my email forwarded to my home server. I lost that capability, so every weird I'm in a default email. So like, if you sent anything at progeeks.com, it would come to me. But they don't have that. They don't support that. So then every time, so I had to go back through all of my history and find out all of the weird progeeks.com addresses I created at different businesses, because that's how I used to track who leaked my info. So if like Zappos at progeeks.com, if I started getting spam from them, I knew Zappos leaked my info. And I mention them because I do know they leaked my info. I get spam all the time, and like really bad spam to Zappos at progeeks.com. And so like I had to go to I had to set them up as like distribution groups and stuff. I had to like, so every time I find one, oh yeah, there was that old bank account or whatever, that I have to go and add another redirect, because there can't be a default redirect anyway. And it cost me a ton of money every year too now, so, which used to be basically nothing. So I'm really upset about it. All right, so let's open it. We don't expect to see anything, but I could probably just turn off this so that we could just see. It's just, I think my logs would be simpler, and we would immediately know if something bad was happening. So yeah, so I come from the days of where you'd use Pine and Pine to read email, or when you'd use 10 to read news groups and stuff. And so the standard thing there was N would take you to the next unread message, and space would take you to the next page. And if you got to the last page, space would take you to the next unread message. And so I got really used to being able to read, like, skim through hundreds and hundreds of emails really quickly just by hitting spacebar, space, go to the next one, space. And so then Microsoft Outlook comes along, and this was back in 2000 or whatever, and we were using it at work. And I'd already been on Netscape's mail for a while, and that became Mozilla Mail, Thunderbird. And that still supported the next, space, just like everybody in the world had been using for decades, right? But Outlook didn't have anything like that. You could not go to just the next unread message. Getting good with the Power Platform. I guess I've used Lotus Notes, but yeah, Lotus Notes. Yeah, that was bad. We used it for a while on OS2 because it was like the only real spreadsheet application, Lotus 123 and Lotus Notes and stuff, that came to OS2, but it was like a crappy implementation even on there. So in addition to being just quirky anyway, yes, what were we looking at? It was bad even on top of that because it was not even a good port. So add item container. grep add item container. Man, so that's not even getting called. Okay. Okay, so then something weird. Okay, so we're getting closer. Actually, I'm kind of glad. Yeah, so here we are setting. So if that's never called, then this is never called. Which means we never actually get a container, which means contained in these old components, I bet they don't have the right type. Or already has a manager. Let's just check container. Let's like learn how to spell container man. We don't want all the remove childs. What we want to look for is making sure this entity already has a manager stuff doesn't show up. Adding, add child. Does anybody show, is anybody showing us what the but I think I know what's wrong now, so that's good. Yeah, so it's this item type stuff. We're treating everything like an item because it doesn't have a type. Type was something I added later for this because there used to be only just items, and I was like, no, we got to know the difference. Without looking it up, if I've already got this component, I should know the difference. I can add 1 byte to the component to tell me whether it's an item, a section, or a container, and then I don't have to look it up separately, and it simplified the code a ton. So let me just confirm. In fact, we will do this up here. And we will say, actually, e.getID will be smart. Okay. But in the meantime, I'm going to look and see if I can fix this in the standard tools. Whoops. Alright, so where do we create the backpack? We get or create the backpack. Alright, so let's look at contained in. Alright, contained in 0 is the default, and so everything's an item. We want to set it a container. So the backpack, we can go in, oops, poop, create container. Alright, so this will take the thing. If it finds it already, it updates it with the container. Cool. If it doesn't, it will create it. Okay. So player ID created, contained event. So here we go. It will automatically update this for us. But we have to pass that in. And we don't have a convenient one to do that. Contained in, okay, so those are all the defaults. We want one. Contained in, I'm just going to cheat for now. Contained in change type, int type. And what we will do Yes, we will. All right. And so then here, we could say change type to contained in .type container. I believe that will fix the problem. Type container, and we have to find all of them. Yeah. Actually, we can fix it right in create container. If container dot type is not equal to contained in dot type container, log warn fixing container type for contained in type for name from container to basically for container equals container dot change type link. All right, so that should fix it. Let us see. Oh, we're already 18 minutes over. Ugh. We are so close. But if we see it pop up, then I'm really like all set to work on it this weekend. Like all the hard parts are left. But I mean, like the big parts are done, and then like all the, and it's not the hard parts. It's all the little last minute stuff. Oh yeah. You know, our little nooks and crannies, wiring up the actions and making sure right click works and all that other good stuff. Come on. Do 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 do. Okay. Let's hit it. Wait, let's wait till portal blindness clears. Here we go. Ready, set, go. Oh. Well, application, you making me sad. But we have more debugging now, so let's check it out. I still think that is the issue. But let's see if we're even getting called. What's the thing we're looking for? We're looking for contained in. Backpack. Here we go. So what is backpack? Backpack is 68303. This one. Entity ID. Let's look up 68303. 68303. Boink. Those are all the things that happened with 68303. Okay, here we go. Let's do this so I can easily see where one ends and one begins. Okay. Alright, there we go. Standard objects. Do we have a warning? No. So we're not fixing it. My code to fix it apparently is not working. Yep. Oh, we don't print the type either. Past Paul, thank you for adding the type and not adding it to here. Okay, and then let's check the script. Standard tools, why aren't you working? So let's look for create container. Well, it wasn't going to show it anyway, was it? I did say not equal to, right? Container type is not equal to contained in type container. We fix it, and we always, if we have the results, we grab it, we update the item. Well, okay, so I might not be, maybe I'm not, container. If the item does not already have the right container component, then set it. So we, even if I did replace it, which apparently I'm not, but it wouldn't have updated it because the item already had it. Else if item contained in not equal to null, and actually we can just do this, use the operator, type is not equal to now we want an else. Okay, we're guaranteed item is not going to be null, so if type is not equal to container.type, then we'll also fix it, fixing bad type for to container. Okay, so let's try it now. It will work. Or it won't. And if it doesn't, we'll have more logging. There's a mountain off in the distance. This world I'm playing in is the world I used to take the screenshot of the main Mythruna site. This one. This is the library we're in. And it's the same one we were exploring last week's live stream. We're so close. They're so close. Okay. Let's wait for the portal blindness to clear. It'll clear in a moment. And then, drum roll please, inventory. Yay! I mean, it's not right, but it's there. Yeah, so like all of the sizes are wrong, right? These sizes are wrong. And we haven't set any of the callbacks, so it's not going to actually move any of them. But it's like, that's the wand. That's the sword. That's the axe. So we're there. I got something, and I can figure out why the models aren't showing up, etc., etc. But now now I can work with something. In fact, I could hide this. Actually, one thing that should happen is if I move the sword, we should see this move because that is actually connected. Yeah, see, like this little guy moved. I can't drag them here, but when I drag them here, we can see them move here. Okay, so it's all hooked up. You know, I need to make the visuals work, and obviously it's not the right size. Like the scaling is wrong. Oh no, I think this is the new scaling. So everything will be a little smaller. We'll have to see if I like that or not. Could be dynamic scaling, like we normally scale at this unless you've got a treasure chest on screen, and then it'll scale it down. That's what the original plan was. Anyway, I'm so happy to have that working. Okay, so now the rest is wiring up all the problems, but is like functionally the guts are there. Anyway, thanks for joining. If you guys are working on productive things, and I know some of you are because you talked about them, I hope you have a super productive weekend and a super productive week. And I will see you guys next Friday. It's going to be kind of a crazy week for me trying to wrap everything up so that I can be off the entire week of Thanksgiving. But then I hope to get a bunch done on Mythruna. So, yes, go forth, be productive, and have a great week. And I will see you guys next time. Let me do the proper thanks for watching thing, and you can like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys aren't subscribed, well, I don't know. That's up to you. But, anyway, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys next time.